And we are live. Welcome, everyone. We have another amazing live stream with our founder, Shashank, and Matt, co founder and CSO of XO. Welcome, Matt. Welcome, Shashank.
Hey guys,
Yeah. Hey,
thanks
Matt.
for having
Nice to
me.
have you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Okay, we can probably start with asking you how you got into crypto. What did you do before that? And yeah, let's just get from there.
Yeah. The adventure began a long time ago. I started my career in, uh, uh, innovation and like corporate innovation and developer ecosystems back in the day. Used to organize hackathons and accelerator programs for a handful of Fortune 500 companies in
Mhm.
like 60 plus countries. I was like
Oh,
early
nice.
20s, traveling all around doing hackathons. So I've worked with a lot of emerging technologies, but also understood it from the lens of a corporate,
Mhm.
understand kind of their goals and their curiosities, and really got to work with developers for over a decade, understanding different levels of product building and go to market. Shortly after that, I worked for JP Morgan on Quorum, an open source
Mhm.
fork of Ethereum. Uh, it was my first experience in open source, like truly open source. Was a lot of fun doing that. It was also my first time officially in the Ethereum ecosystem. So I've
Mhm.
technically been in Ethereum since 2017.
Oh,
And
nice.
then, yeah, that project got acquired by Consensus. So I was at Consensus for 4 years, helping take all the products to the developer market,
Mhm.
built an accelerator there. And then I co-founded Gaia in 2024. We're working on decentralized AI, open source inference with open source smaller large language models.
Mhm.
Had a great ecosystem that we built out. Phenomenal project. And then I resigned a few months ago. We had a project that within our ecosystem was building out a one-click guide node deployment around
Mhm.
February of last year. And this
Mhm.
was before, we had seen any of this kind of open claw work or Hermes. And so it was the first time seeing, browser-based one-click solution for launching an agent that you
Mhm.
owned, and it ran on your cloud. So I started to slowly advise the team. I've known them as engineers for a long time. And when OpenClaw came out and we enabled a one-click OpenClaw launcher, we
Mhm.
went from a billion throughputs to 100 billion throughputs monthly. And so for me, that was like, oh shit, what have we been building? Like, how can I do more?
Mhm.
And so at the time, I was transitioning out of Gaia, so I jumped in full time to help the product go to market. We're looking to integrate with a lot of model labs, inference providers, hyperscalers. We're doing some work with Google. We're
Mhm.
helping run agents at scale on GCP, and working with other folks like Microsoft, NVIDIA, and others. But I think my mission still continues. Like I believe wholeheartedly in open source,
Mhm.
in open systems, and I believe AI is the next paradigm that we're all gonna have to get used to. But if we're going
Mhm.
to get used to it, I would like that it works for people, not for the AI companies or whatever small group of stakeholders that their interests are more informed than ours. So I'm still in the same mission,
Yep.
but looking at it from a different lens.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I would like to touch upon your experience at Gaia a bit more. Like since, especially since the Fable incident, we people have started caring about decentralized AI or open source AI a bit more than what they did before, and yeah, that should be the case. And those are the incidents that remind us that how important it is for AI technology as important as AI to be decentralized. So yeah, what were your learnings there? What do you think is necessary for decentralized AI to take off and become the way people actually use AI?
Yeah, and I'll start by saying I think like what we've noticed is people just want to use things that work.
Hmm.
So I think throughout the decentralized AI kind of like the beginning of that era, like a few years back, or yeah, a few years back now, we had the intention that open source models would get picked up a lot faster, perhaps, or
Hmm.
would really drive people to own their own data, own their own context, own their own workflows, and the frontier models and like the harnesses and the various tools for RAG development or inference management, serving these kind of agentic workflows. A lot of that boiled down to people didn't care so much about privacy. People didn't really care so much about, putting the data in one place. They just wanted to use the damn thing and have it work. And even when you talk to businesses today, they don't care about agentic. They might say they do, but they just want to automate their workflows at machine speed. Like they want these things just to move fast and be automated and do their job at scale, and not necessarily replace employees, but they want to replace bureaucracy, and they want to replace anything that stops ROI. And so we're looking at a lot of customers that just want to build workflows that work, and enterprises and companies at large, they still do care about privacy, of course. Like that's why they move a little bit slower to adopt these types of systems. And I do have a lot of folks that are using on-prem local models of different varieties in different types of companies that need to do different things between like trading, or if it's like marketing workflows. They're using a whole like cobweb of tools to put together like a Frankenstein agentic workflow. And so I think the narrative of OpenAI versus Frontier is not necessarily it's not black and white. It's we will have these frontier models proliferating the system, but also working with these smaller models and offsetting costs where it makes sense, or perhaps offsetting kind of privacy concerns where we have a feeling that like some of the inference or permissioning can keep some of that data private. You can at least control some of that. At least we think we can for now. So I think that was the biggest learning, is that we thought it would be black or white. And in fact, it's going to become this very interesting gradient of people are using all kinds of different combinations of tools and models and ways to pipe in data and workflows that sit on top of that as applications. And so what we're trying to do at XO is enable people to grow with that demand and with that switching cost. So as new models come out, new harnesses come out, new tools, new ways to manage your data, we want to enable that composability and compatibility with any setup. And so that's what we're looking at. We're not trying to trap people inside of an ecosystem, and we see that as the Silicon Valley model that continues to grow. Nothing wrong with it, but we think there's a better model where we go where the customer's infrastructure sits. If you're running GCP, if you're running your infra on some NVIDIA GPUs, if you're running on Azure or AWS EC2, like we want to enable you to run your infrastructure as is. Bring your AI, bring your model, whatever model your team's used to using, whatever contract you sign with Anthropic, or if you're using open router credits, or if you have one of your employees has a Llama model running on their local desktop, and you want to permission how that container runs with the rest of the system. We see that being the future is people are going to have different ways to interact with these systems, and we need to make it easy for them to bring everything.
Yeah, I think that's how everyone is kind of moving towards these days. Everyone wants to make their platforms more model agnostic, because the way models are going, there's like few models at the top and everyone kind of catching up. So people tend to replace models a lot. If the platform can handle it, it's just better for everyone. So when you're talking to enterprises, suppose the latency and the cost of running decentralized AI and centralized AI models is kind of same. What's your pitch for them to like choose decentralized AI over what they are already using? Is it about privacy, data control, and permissioning, or there's also something more?
Like privacy is definitely a big thing for them to get started. But I think right now it's all about cost. So if you go to if you go to Open Router, you can see like a lot of these models hosted. And you can see the cost of inference that you would port into, and it's definitely a market being created, where you can start to look at which models perhaps satisfy your need. Like if you're running, a fleet of open claws, and for a while we were all using, Claude API, or Claude's like OAuth, and we were able to use it, without any repercussions or without any kind of financial rails. Now it's like, you're blocked from doing that, so you have to pay per API call. It's a lot more expensive. You can still do this with Codex, so it's okay, but Open Cloud, like, it just works really well with a lot of the cloud models. So when now you start to see like the actual cost baked in of your agentic workflows using frontier models or using hosted inference, it really is just a matter of like price. And like we have we have like all of Wall Street and Main Street has like talked about token maxing. And if you hear like Jensen or Dario or Sam talk about how you need to be spending AI tokens to have a productive org, it's really marketing for the model and inference providers. Like they want you to hit their KPIs. But like the reality is, as a business, that's not your goal. Your goal is to get the job done. And if a company is responsible for 100 trillion to quadrillion throughputs, like per day, per month, whatever it looks like, it's a great North Star for the industry on utility or demand, but more on demand. But what happens when we start to create a metric where actual work was getting done per watt, per intelligence meter? So we're really looking at that as kind of the next future state of the space. We want people to be using our infrastructure, and we want to see tokens moving, but we also want to start moving into a world where it costs people less to do a high returning workload or payload. We want to see actual productivity, and I think that's a big discussion we're seeing with a lot of these teams. The way XO is built. So we're building an agentic workforce infrastructure. We enable you to one-click any open agent harness. Right now, we primarily are using OpenClaw and Hermes, and you can have this environment that has your harness. You can bring your model API. You can hook in like if you're running a local model, we have integrations where you can use that as your inference. You can use OpenRouter, you can use Gemini, you can use any of the cloud models, you name it. We're compatible. And then again, you can run it on kind of our orchestration environment, which is running on GCP, or you can plug into your own hardware or cloud, as long as it's Terraform compatible. And we run all that on Kubernetes, on K's. So by doing that, we're actually taking advantage of spot compute. We can run agents, almost like an Airbnb for agents. We can run them for a short period of time for 80 to 90% discount. And so we see this future where if everyone in an organization or in a team has an agent, almost like a work laptop, where you can permission or govern, what happens to that data if someone leaves the org, or if you want to, send that container to go and train another agent, or train some, client that you're working with and onboard them, or say the client starts to misuse the data. How do you kill that instance? Like, do you have to kill your whole org's fleet architecture and think about it that way? So we found a way to create these environments that are scalable. They can run in fleets, and they start and stop on command, and you can permission them. And so through that, we start to have a really good insight and monitoring of what input is the org having that results in some sort of output. And so right now, again, like the North Star, the key metric people are using is, token throughputs, AI token throughputs. We eventually want to get to a model where it's about productivity.
Nice.
And then, so that's like the big thing we're seeing in enterprise. It's like productivity. There was even like if you were watching like CNBC yesterday, I think it was Apollo that put out like some research, and it was I forget how many companies they interviewed, but something like the 1% of companies in the Fortune 500 are spending like $7K a month per employee for AI models. Yet the median was spending $11 a month. So, what they were identifying is that, there might be a ton of marketing on like spend AI tokens and like replace your employees. Cause if you're not, then like, what are you doing? But then there's this other side of the street that's like, yeah, like, I don't know about that. Like we actually, haven't figured out how we handle privacy yet. We haven't seen dollar for dollar, like what we're actually getting out of it, except for like GPT to kind of help some of our employees. And, you could have two opinions. You could have one opinion that these people aren't moving fast enough and that they're going to get trampled. Or you could have the other opinion that they might know something that people don't, which is these organizations are the people sitting on the value. Like they are the ones sitting on the context that these AI companies want. And we want to, of course, like we want people to train these environments better so that we understand how people can work together more productively. But it has to be in the best interest of the folks sitting on the context, the individuals, the VPs of engineering, the head of the HR department. Like you need these people to understand why AI is more than just a chat tool, and that it's an actual companion and a co-pilot that manages workflows. And if those people who are in charge of the budget can understand dollar for dollar that they put money aside and it's going to result in a KPI for their team, then it's going to have a more appropriate spot on the balance sheet. But right now it's like, it's just a tool. It's not actually replacing headcount.
How quickly do you think we move to an outcome-based pricing? So something like you hire a freelancer, then there's some KPIs defined that you have to deliver these X, Y, and Z, and I'll pay you this much amount. Do you think something like that happens for agentic workflows where there's an agent and there's a well-defined outcome and you get paid, the agent gets paid based on that and not based on the tokens consumed? Because that way the outcomes are more aligned, because like the company is incentivized to optimize token to give you that outcome rather than you having to spend more tokens where you pay per token. So like how quickly do you think we move to that?
Yeah, I think it's going to take time, but we are working on some research. We're doing some experiments and have a white paper coming out around unit of work. And so the way we're looking at it, and I'm, my co-founder and CTO, CEO, Suraj will be a much better person to explain his vision on the unit of work, and even our engineering team who's been working a lot on the math. We'll have to have them on maybe a second time. We'll explain it more thoroughly. But how we're looking at it high level is within these environments, we're actually able to measure the intent, like the skills and the intent and the runtime itself. And so what we can start to do is understand, like, if you are an org and you want to, if you want to, what's it called? If you want to like create the object of intent and the skill that the agent can do, you can start to measure all those components of work. And so right now, like we're looking at it from like different, fleets of agents, the measurable outcome. We're looking at the tools, we're looking at the runtime, the memory, the files, and the record that the work was actually done. And so if we look at the life of a unit of work, we have kind of the definition of it, what actually is the outcome in the end state you want, what is the budget, like what is the outcome worth, how is the agent executing that and working inside the workspace, and then how do you verify or compare the state before and after. And then of course, like it'd be payments. So like how are you settling kind of AI spend for your kind of model and for the other kind of needed inferences to make that work happen. And so all that we're able to measure. We're not doing anything like, crypto native, like none of this. It's really just based on diffs and entropy. And so if we can understand, how the AI is thinking about spending its tokens, we can start to get a more granular view of, what are we actually spending on? I'm sure everyone can agree here where, you task the model to go do various sorts of things, and it goes through its reasoning, it goes through its search, but like we don't actually know, we don't get to understand how it's doing that, or
Mm-hmm.
if it's spending the right way.
Mm-hmm.
The AI companies get to see all this stuff, but they're also missing some metrics that we can help take to businesses, so businesses can really understand how do they optimize this
Mm-hmm.
unit of work. And so we're hoping we get to a place where the KPI is more about, I spent $10 for this job to get done, like build me a logo, build me a PDF,
Mm-hmm.
and it built this thing. And I understood exactly where it was going and spending those funds, and then I
Mm-hmm.
understood exactly, like the AI understood exactly what I was asking for, did it execute it properly, and then how am I verifying that the work was completed without question. But you have to really define kind of these goals and these outcomes and these intents properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that will be the future, is like the measurement of intents.
Yeah, nice. So, help me understand. So, is it like you take an abstract outcome and divide it into more granular chunks with their own way of measuring, like if they were completed or not, what were the possible steps that were taken? So, you can measure each step rather than just having one broad outcome. So, if something stops in between, you wouldn't know what happened. But if you have this unit of work where each of those steps is properly measured, then you can define the task better, change the metrics in between, and understand how the work was completed.
Yeah, and it's like getting closer to understanding what does done actually look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which output is actually good, like what does success look like, and then how
Mm-hmm.
do we change what does not work. And I think
Okay.
this, like we figured out kind of the engineering, or at least like the way to kind of measure or hypothesize like what that looks like in code. And so
Mm-hmm.
we've taken some tasks. I ran like 30 experiments already, but
Mm-hmm.
we got access to like Fable for like one day. The one day it was available, and
Okay.
we ran it against Opus 4.8, and we
Mm-hmm.
were actually able to determine that a simple task of like building a logo.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did building a logo, so something like that. It took same amount of time for both models. It took like the output, the intent, and the success was delivered the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the cost was like 2.5x more, of course,
Right.
for running Fable.
Mm-hmm.
So and then we're kind of doing the same across like different open source models, understanding like models that are trained on different contexts, having specified knowledge. And it does become quite arbitrary on what is the intent and what does success look like.
Mm-hmm.
And with human tastes, like it's going to become a question of
Yeah,
like we're picky, what I mean, like we're picky, like I'm picky, especially when it comes to like design or you know
definitely.
uh, information. Like I'm so picky with like how to present myself. It's not as black and white as, oh, this document looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's also part of it'll be human behavior to like document, you know how do we even quantify success in the realm of um, zero and ones and hard math. Like how do we
Mm-hmm.
actually put that into something that's measurable.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting close, but we're trying to work with more folks on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like two big positions on it. It's like, one, we need to measure kind of how you get these human-based intents mapped out properly and compare them to how the models are spending on compute and inference properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also like the means in which they're kind of paying or deciding on how to pay for those kind
Mm-hmm.
of outputs. Like I'm not saying like paying third-party services. I mean like if it's going to pay for using a smaller model for a certain skill, or
Mm-hmm.
um, manage its budget per prompt on like AI tokens to actually get the work done. We're
Mm-hmm.
kind of curious on how it's managing its budget essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
I mean it's a difficult problem. Like probably unsolvable problem in general, where like if you have to define work for all domains or that humans deal
It's
in,
so
it's
tough.
you can't
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. So are there any specific domains you are targeting initially, like programming, creating marketing content, like creating logos, or like how are you going about it?
Yeah, and I can. I'll send this paper over to your community on Twitter later too. Everyone can read through it. It's a massive wiki. We
Oh
have all
yeah.
the research and the metrics.
Mhm,
But yeah, we're looking a lot at finance. Finance is a big vertical for
mhm,
us. E-commerce, and then
mhm,
hardware and like industrial use cases. These seem to be very um, we get a lot of participation from these folks, and it's a little less
mhm.
arbitrary. Like when you have like a value
Oh
chain
yeah.
that
Mhm,
just needs to be automated, it's a little bit easier to measure kind of the intent and the outcome,
mhm,
and how it got the work done versus like
mhm.
marketing and anything like related to taste. It's so difficult. Um, I think that'll be probably one of the last frontiers. It's like how do you get uh, you know I feel like the logo one is like the hardest thing. So we're
Yeah. Anything
you know
subjective is difficult.
Yeah, we are working with a partner of ours with Magic Path. We are working on design oriented intents as well. So that might be something we actually tackle sooner than later. But
Mhm.
right now, it's like I feel like finance is just the easiest place for folks to understand the ROI on these agents. But I will say it's also the hardest place to find ROI. I think it's the sexiest thing in terms of like,
Mhm.
oh, I can train this agent, I go deploy my Hermes agent. I'm gonna go give it access to sports betting API data, or some sort of I don't know if you saw like this world monitor app. It's
Mhm.
like a giant prediction market battle station. um, but like like when you start giving these agents too much context,
Mhm.
it's super hard for them to get to actually generate returns. um,
Mhm.
I've been using these trading agents for months, and like did really good in prediction markets, but it's really tough. Like you need to be really just focused on your strategies and kind of how you're training your agent more focused on those markets, and a lot of it
Mhm.
is like it's very tough to compete when you have like quants on the other side, like Jane
Yep.
Straight building multi-billion-dollar models on their own that are just beating out anybody that tries to do this on retail. So
Yep.
it's yeah, it seems like the right path, but man, it's like I don't know what the future of trading will look like. It's just like very weird right now.
Yeah, I mean, we do trading agents, so I definitely understand. The thing with trading is signal to noise ratio is pretty low.
I
So models overfit, and the whole of your job is making sure your model doesn't overfit. So if you get an accuracy of like 50, 60%, that's like you're a billionaire now, because then you can just scale it up and over time you will make money. But it's super difficult
Yeah, the
to
tricky thing is if someone offers you like a one-click, um, trading app, it's really tough to assume that you can throw in $10 and you're gonna be a millionaire. Because then, like by the
oh yeah.
time like 10 people do it, like it's someone's gonna figure out the game and take advantage of it. So
Yep.
it's kind of hard to like have an agent that already has the strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So we're helping build out agents that have the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So some of my agents that I deployed over the last 6 months, coolest thing for me was not agent that like just made me money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, more commonly, I had an agent that lost me money. um, but like it was cool to me to finally be able to like text an agent on OpenClaw, like on Telegram, and be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I found this contract address. Can you go, swap, you know, some ETH and like get into this position?"
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to, with the project called Epoch, I was able to like set up where I can text the agent. I don't even tell what to do. I'm just like, hey, go
Mm-hmm.
and bet on, Polymarket, which Polymarket runs on Polygon or Matic, and
Mm-hmm.
I had most of the treasury between like, ETH on mainnet and ETH on base, and
Mm-hmm.
it had to like go and understand the intent of oh, I need to go migrate some funds to Matic. You need to go swap on a bridge and do all these things. I didn't have to tell it. Now it just does it.
Mhm.
And so like for me, what used to be like a little hesitant where I'd have to like, someone would be like, oh, you should get in on this token. And I would have to go to my MetaMask, like, mobile. I'd get frustrated. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go do this on my computer later. Now it's
Mhm.
kind of like you can quickly, get into these things. Or like I'd be at a bar and someone would be like, oh dude, did you like hear, Donald Trump's got like this speech going on like in a few hours. I text the
Mhm.
agent, hey, like, the big orange man's about to do a speech. Like I need to like prepare, some sort of prediction market bet on what he would say. And
Mhm.
like I can easily move that. So really what it comes down to is we will continue to be the custodians of context and
Mhm.
perhaps strategy or approach on how we position the market. But like if we rely on someone else to do that for us, like it's likely we're perhaps being used. I don't know. But like
Yeah.
I would really lean into companies that are helping you use agents to better move finances on chain, or
Mhm.
uh, I even was using it with traditional like stock trading apps like Public. They have a great API. So like I was
Mhm.
trading public stocks on like with my agent. There's really cool things you can do that you need to continue to own the intent, but it now is so easy, like over text, through audio, through at some point it'll just be like you receive an email about some information and then you receive a text notification like, hey, can I do this for you? It
Mhm.
starts to be quite nice. But yeah, finance is an interesting one.
Yeah. I would say on that for the tasks that you do only once or twice, that text-based interface is fine because like you're gonna do it once or twice. But when there's something you are doing on a daily basis, so for example, if
Oh
you're
yeah.
trading on, yeah, it's better to have a button. Like ask your agent to create that button, so the next time you don't have to ask it and just press that button. Uh,
Well,
and- yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a cool thing we're working on too. So we're doing an integration with we're doing two cool integrations I'll talk about. We have a launch coming up. It's probably good to talk about it. Perfect timing actually. But one integration we're doing is with Magic Path,
Mhm.
ex Anthropic founder. They're kind of building like a Figma for the agentic world. So
Mhm.
it's more compatible with bring your model or use theirs, and you can prompt it with literally like your website or your brand kit, and it's very lovely UI. What we're building with them is pretty trippy. We've been saying this
Mhm.
for like years now, but when you're working with your agent or your interface, everyone has their own different way of viewing the world, and I feel like every shift we get into a technology, we try and give people a new application, some new screen, some new device, some new surface area to interact with the thing, because that's what we've been used to, is like give
Mhm.
people more tech in a way that you think people want to view it,
Mhm.
versus in today's world, like we now can build things that move around the user. We now can
Mhm.
reduce surface area. And um, I feel like that was the promise that AI made to us, was we would have a 3-day work week and we wouldn't have to touch a button, and life would just get solved for itself and we could just be happy. But instead we're like, oh, AI is actually a 8-day work week and you're gonna have a ton of anxiety, and you're gonna have to use all these different tools and things, and you have to learn how to use a command line. And it's like I wasn't told that this was the thing, right? And so
Mhm.
we're building with Magic Path is you can literally um, talk to your agent, and your agent can build an interface around what your intent is, like how you operate.
Mhm.
So if you guide it towards how you want your operating system, it's not it's you don't even have to really guide it to do that. It's just going to take like the things you already work in and just mold to your workspace.
Mhm.
We just shipped it. We're testing it out, but it's probably something we'll launch in the next few weeks.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the space is going in that direction too. Like we see with, I believe it was Codex. think it was Codex, where they're like working on a workflow where you can share your screen and show like a
Mhm.
process that you do, and then the AI will eventually take over and understand how to do that for you. That's going to be what we end up moving into is agents that want to understand how we work, and
Mhm.
they'll hop on a Zoom call with us, and we share screen and show them what keeps us up at night, and they'll fix those
Mhm.
problems. And
Yeah.
you know, we need like technology is always it's never like this overnight shift. It's always kind of a um, you latch on to the incumbent technology to get to the next thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
like Jensen said it like a few months ago. It was like um, if you had like a humanoid robot in the home, like
Mhm.
they're not gonna have like fire coming out of their finger to like boil water. They're going to learn how to boil water on top of a stovetop. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the first iteration, because and so the technology will learn the patterns that we're used to today,
Mhm.
so that tomorrow, like those things could perhaps be more optimized. But you have to like it's stairs. You have to use what already exists. And the one other integration I'll talk to you about that I was going to mention is we're working on a launch with OKX. We're doing a
Mhm.
one-click OKX agent on their agent marketplace.
Mhm.
We're also they also have their on-chain OS. It like taps into their Dex API.
Mhm.
I know I was saying, be wary of agents that tell you that they're going to make you money, but this is not that. This is again just an agent that you can deploy. You own it. You own the container.
Mhm.
We're running this with Google and using Gemini behind the hood, and we're giving people the opportunity to run like an Hermes agent in cloud that they custody. They can add the strategies. They can access the Dex API and tell the agent to trade on Hyperliquid, trade on Polymarket, trade on the Dex.
Mhm.
There's all kinds of things you can do. We'll slowly work with the OKX team to provide education to the ecosystem on here's how you can stack up your agent, or here's how you can do more. But we're really
Mhm.
trying to make this easy for retail and for users who don't want to tinker with all this crazy AI tools and like decision making. We want to make it extremely straightforward.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're launching that in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, nice. That's great stuff. Okay, coming back to the part where you said don't believe in agents that say they'll help you make you money. I would say that's right to some extent, because when you there's some things that work. So, for example, when you want to trade a token, first you have to identify which token to trade, and there's a different better token to trade at all times. Then you have to identify, should I go long or short, what leverage, what should be my take profit, what should be my stop loss, and there's just so many decisions to make. Whereas agents can look in the historical data, identify, is it a good time to entry, what kind of position should be, like identify a great setup for you. And they can also give you odds, like aligned, well calibrated odds as to how likely this trade is to be successful. So it cannot promise you that it'll make you money, but it can definitely improve your chances, and that's
I
the best
totally
anyone
agree.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even MetaMask launched like their MetaMask agents, and kind of similarly, like I think as long as you move towards move towards education and you're educating the
Mhm.
user on like here's what you could do, but you're not saying hey like uh, you know I've just seen some like posters like in New York where it's like this agent will make you 10K a month. It's like okay,
That's
I don't know about that, but
yeah.
but if it's like, hey, this agent is going to help you understand how to, take advantage of, high yield savings, or take advantage
Mhm.
of, you want a little more risk. You want to look at, what are prediction markets? How would you bet in this world? Like, if the agent can onboard you and educate you and help you make decisions in that space better, that's huge. Like, I think
Right.
financial literacy is the one thing that crypto did really, really well. Like
Mhm.
I've seen people all around the world in emerging markets who were designed out of the system. Like the
Mhm.
banks and the financial service companies in a lot of places like didn't want a lot of these folks to understand understand how to make yield or understand how to be banked. You
Mm-hmm.
had very aggressive, credit and predatory loan kind of scenarios in some of these countries, and crypto
Mm-hmm.
came in and was like offering like very competitive, yield or APY to folks who like don't get that in their countries, and so anyone
Mm-hmm.
becoming a bank became really interesting. And so when you have agents that are, continuing that, work and
Mm-hmm.
educating folks on here's how you can do this at scale, I think that's immense and huge.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, in some countries, banks do lobby governments to increase taxes on short-term and long-term capital gains. So people deposit their money with the banks and not actually buy assets, which is just,
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
you should compete on your merits rather than just lobbying your way out of it. But yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
crazy. That yeah, that's why I got into like the blockchain space. Was like I thought that was extremely, um, really cool just to like come and like break up that belief.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, one last question. To our listeners, if you want to explain what EXO does in like 30 words or less in an ELI way, just happy to
Yeah,
hear from
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think yeah, I said it earlier, but I'll even go again. But we're enabling you to one-click deploy agent, like workforces. And so you can deploy a one-click Hermes agent, OpenClaw agent. You can bring your own agent if you have like the GitHub repo, um, Cloud agents, and we're becoming compatible with any open harness that comes out. You bring your model, you bring your hardware or cloud, and you essentially will be able to get fleets of agents to communicate to one another or collaborate with one another in an environment. So imagine, if in the near future, if everyone in a team has an agent co-pilot that has some sort of responsibility on the team, and perhaps like has different permissions with who can access that data. You need a
Mhm.
way to start and stop those containers. You need a way to permission which humans or agents can interact with those kind of knowledge bases or with those runtimes. And you need a way to stack them where like you were if you have an agent org, um, and some of them can interface with clients externally,
Mhm.
and you wanted to, kind of send them off to go and educate and onboard an agent or onboard a client and save your time as a human, there's a lot of permissioning and governance that needs to happen there. Another way I like to describe it is like if you worked inside of a institution and you've had like a work laptop or a work phone, what happens when someone leaves the org and they want to take their agent with them? Are you gonna, summon them to, drop off their 10 Mac Minis to the office, or like, are you gonna have them hand over a key?
Mhm.
And so we have a much more scalable way for organizations and teams to
Mhm.
manage that whole process. So right now we have, I would say there's like 1,000, like 24/7 ongoing agents in our infrastructure. We are, working predominantly with dev shops
Mhm.
and with like FDEs, design partners who are building out use cases for their clients. And then we're doing about 100 billion throughputs a month. We just integrated with Open Router. We just integrated the Hermes one click like a month ago. And then yeah, we're helping teams enable their own one click agent with like a skill attached, or any sort of kind of workflow that makes it easier. We're calling them blueprints. Like we have some clients in e-commerce that want to build out automated workflows, so we're building out
Mhm.
blueprints for them to use our agents more. But again,
Mhm.
it's got to be extremely easy. It's got to be very composable. You have to be able to use it in the environment that the client is already using. And
Mhm.
yeah, we're just kind of moving with the wave of the ecosystem. Like wherever we see new tools, new models, new harnesses come out, we want to be compatible day one. And
Mhm.
what's really cool is when you go and spin up a container, it's all it's all live. You can go to beta.xo.builders. You can go
Mm-hmm.
deploy an agent today.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do so, we have agents in the backend that are doing DevOps to make sure any updates or issues, bugs that are happening, the agents are fixing real time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also managing again the compute hosting, so that the agent cost is really competitive. Um, and then we're working closer to like using more open source models, enabling people to use more custom architecture with different types of models. And I would invite anyone that wants to deploy an agent, please reach out. Happy to help.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, we can move on to our next part, the rapid fire
So,
round.
so this part is normally fun and light-hearted, but for you guys today, we're gonna start with the deep one instead.
Okay.
No, we'll have fun ones. So this is for both of you. Is there a project or research idea that you abandoned but you still think about?
Oh man, too many.
Oh, tell us.
Um, there is. Is it better to talk about one that I abandoned and I think about, or one that like a side project I'm working on right now?
Both.
Okay. Um, so one that I abandoned is well, there were some components in Gaia. I feel like I wish I could continue. Um, we actually we spec'd out a Gaia V2, but we have not deployed it. Um, uh, Basically, it's running on XO, but it's enabling for like a private VPS network. So like if you want your Mac Studio to talk to your node or agent running in the cloud, like we have a full network of kind of agentic comms and like inference requesting and routing. The one that the side project I'm working on that I'm excited about, I'm building. It's very like not related to all this stuff really, but I'm using our agentic workflows to build out a printing press, like for books.
Oh, nice.
Like basically, I feel like a lot of like writers might have great word and expression to give the world, yet big publishers won't print it because it's either too small and too niche of an audience, or the content is a little too risque and perhaps cancelable. And what better thing to do with open source AI and crypto rails? So building a cool little micro publisher.
Love it.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking forward to this one. So how about you, Shashank? Any
I have a huge list of features I would want on Index, but let's talk about something else. So I'm passionate about games. I believe games make the world fun and worth living, and like both physical games as well as video games. In video games, you can iterate more because physical games, there's only so many things you can do. Um, I really love games where things are not well defined and you can do a lot of stuff, and even the creator doesn't know what interactions can happen. Uh, Most of the games right now, the things are pretty well defined. So if there's a character that does an attack, it's a pretty well defined attack, and you have to press a button, and that happens, or a combination of button. What I want is something where it's like where you can kind of create things, and the system is well defined, the physics is well defined, and you can manipulate some elements, and then something new kind of happens. So for example, you have a you have a model of physical world, and you were allowed to change air pressure and temperature at some point, and then it would cause a wind current to go at some speed. So ability to change those things which causes some effect, rather than like having a bolt of lightning just directly. So ability to change those parameters behind to cause an effect in ways that even the creator doesn't know. So like that kind of stuff.
this would be amazing. I hope it comes to light one of these days.
Yeah, I mean
So
it's super difficult. The
yeah,
you have
I love
to
it.
decide on a system of physics that your world follows, and then you have to make sure it works, and also make it fun, because what's the use otherwise?
true. So, Matt, without naming names, you organized a ton of hackathons. Tell us one that you absolutely regret doing, and one of them that's
Right.
like totally memorable.
Oh, regret doing. Yeah, I'll say uh, regret's a tough word, but I'll say like it was brutal. We did hackathon, like we did more public facing hackathons, and then there was a lot of times we did internal hackathons
Mhm.
for like corporates. And so there was a bank we did a hackathon for that was like internal, and like you're inside of a bank for 24 48 hours. And I worked at JP Morgan. I know what it's like to work at a bank, but like it yeah, not the most fun. It was just like, but I learned a lot because by
Mhm.
working on innovation with executives at a bank, even though I was like pulling teeth, it prepared me to go work for JP Morgan at some point and understand like how that world works,
Mhm.
and how people think. But it's not your fun, ETH Denver, like colorful, hippie colors. It's a bank, so yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, it's fun that it's a coincidence. My next question was to Shashank, but I'll swap it with one that's like in the middle of the question because it's about this. Have either of you been in a room with the bankers and you're pitching decentralized AI, decentralized blockchain to them, and how did it go?
Um,
I mean, my job at Goldman was more about AI. So the things we
oh,
talked to, like, not bankers per se. We talked more to risk teams and securities teams. So it was more about how we can use AI to make your processes better. Banker investment banking is kind of different in all these companies. It's kind of there's something called Chinese wall between investment banking and the rest of organization, because the information cannot flow in between, because investment banking manages mergers and acquisitions, so that kind of information can be misused for trading. So there's no communication between it's difficult to communicate for the rest of the org to IB.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For me, like I kind of already answered it, but it's yeah. When I was at JP Morgan, like working on Quorum, like on Ethereum, like I was working on the trade floor, and I was the way the team was structured. The team was mainly in New York, but I was floating. Like I'm just a weird person. I was working with like a one-off desk in California, and so I was on the trade floor in San Francisco and on the phone with people talking about Ethereum, and all the bankers were very confused. Like what the hell I was doing. It was like 2018, so they were like,
Oh, yeah.
"The heck? Like what is this Ethereum thing?" And I was like, "We're and it'd be what was even funnier was like I'd be at my desk, you'd have people confused that I'm on the phone with Ethereum people, and then you'd have CNBC on above you, and Jamie Dimon is talking shit on Bitcoin, and so you're like, this is such a weird universe, like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just funny.
Yeah, back then, 2018, it was, the view was not good of the overview. So this is the
Oh,
question that was for,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for Shashank. So convenience always makes adoption much easier. And context for our audience, for example, Netflix solves the problem of renting a movie from your home instead of going to Starbucks. So when it comes to trading, Shashank, is there any way to make what ideas do you think will make trading much more accessible than the systems we have currently?
yeah. I would say it's more of a discovery problem. I would say it's the same problem with one of the bigger problems I see with Polymarket and Culchi, like all prediction platforms, where when you go to the platform, it looks like a dashboard. There's so many categories. You expect me to go and select what I like, and then think of what I want to bet on, and what my thesis is. I think it should be something like Reels, which is one of our like latest interfaces, where the user is given options like in front, and they can just slide through the options and select what they want to do, and then you'll have the data as to what user likes, and you can just curate their fields on the basis of that. So do that work for user instead of expecting the user to go through your platform and identify what they want to do. So yeah, I guess that's necessary. It's not just nice to have.
Yeah, Reels is gonna be awesome. And last two questions. So for both of them are for both. So do you guys believe that we'll be in an era where there is more AI agents than humans? And if so, how soon?
I think we're probably already there. If we have like 7 billion people on the earth, like I think we're probably well beyond 7 billion agents. Um, like in terms of math, like we're doing, not us, but like the industry, like it's like quadrillions of AI tokens per day. Like if you
Mhm.
combine like all of the AI companies, like China itself, I think was doing like 100 trillion or like hundreds of trillions daily. It's like some of the rough numbers people are throwing around, and it's probably even more. Like they always have really odd KPI reporting. um, so like who knows? But like if you're looking at the throughputs and you're like averaging out how many agents are actually productive, and even if you're counting like agents that are not productive but they're deployed, it's just so easy to do it now that um, I think we're well beyond that. I think we aren't at the point yet where every single person on Earth has an agent. Same as like not every
Mhm.
person on Earth has a bank account or a cell phone, but or like a Facebook page. Like even that's like it's like big saturation, but not you're never going to get to 100%.
Mhm.
But I think that will happen soon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like a web page where like there's more web pages than number of humans. So
Yeah, than people. It's
That's a
true.
good point too. Yeah.
So the last one, and this is very hard to guess, of course, but where do you guys see on-chain agents in 5 years' time?
Um, so I see them more as like helpers than being like adversarial. Like I think a lot of folks like are weary of giving agents all of their financial autonomy or authority, and I think those folks um, either care too much about privacy and cryptography, or they don't understand it enough. But I feel very comfortable giving an agent not my whole net worth, but like giving it like giving certain agents pieces of that and having it
Mhm.
run certain strategies. I feel very comfortable that I've kind of permissioned and managed the security myself and like custodying my keys the best way. Like of course, like you're gonna get to it's gonna get harder and harder like as people try and hack those systems, but um, for right now I feel like agents will end up being very helpful, but there will be a shit ton of breaches for sure.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shashank.
I think the majority of people will be interfacing with blockchains directly through their agents. It's just easier. You can ask so many questions with your agents. You can be more sure. They can directly go through the code and see if it is what it actually is. I mean, even typing the someone's key it's a hassle. You have to check it so many times to ensure nothing happened, and then you have to send that $10 test transaction to see if it's right. So it's too much to ask to anyone. So I think it's people would be interacting with blockchains through their agents.
And you think people will be interacting with blockchain without knowing it, like just by typing, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think it will be something like, okay, I think Elon is gonna kill it, so let's buy some SpaceX. So yeah, just buy me $100 worth of SpaceX and buy it like every week if the price goes down, and the agent is just gonna handle it. People won't even know that it's on chain. It's just that I have SpaceX.
And to this point, like we're probably getting to a place where I think people are like feeling that blockchain is dead. I think quite the opposite. I'm looking at these institutions that are widely adopting, and I think their plan is going very accordingly. Like
Mhm.
I think there's an incumbents or greater powers that be that wanted to perhaps have ownership of those financial rails, and they wanted to wait out the system so that they could have a bigger piece of it or have a bigger say. And yeah, time is now for them. I think the SpaceXs of the world, like those types of public companies, are going to find crypto rails being very useful for taking different positions, taking advantage of liquidity in a certain way. Like crypto rails are they by far move much faster and much more. What's the best word? they just run better than the traditional system and just upgraded rails. And so they're just going to use, like, finance is just going to be finance as always, but you're using crypto rails now, and it's just not. It was not that earlier phase where crypto looked like crypto. Now it's going to be like traditional world starts to just use crypto, and that's mainstream adoption. That's what we wanted, and I think AI mixing into it makes it a whole lot crazier.
It's coming, guys. So we arrived at the end of the hour, like 1:00 on per. Thank you, Matt, for joining. Thank you, Shashank. Please follow Matteo Ventures, follow Matt here, and follow XO as well. Thank you for your time, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much.
See you next time. Bye.
See you guys.